issues. We have been running an economy which is low unemployment, low inflation, low interest rates, AAA credit rating, low public sector debt, making it easier for people to make ends meet than if we were not able to contain inflation and not able to keep interest rates low. I agree with you about electricity bills and gas and water and the way in which those utility bills have been on the rise, and it is an issue I have raised in a number of places in a number of ways. One of the things where it relates to some of the discussion we've been having is that I think that food self-sufficiency helps keep us away from that kind of treadmill, and energy self-sufficiency helps keep us off that treadmill. So I'm really pleased to see that we've now got 1 million solar panels, solar PV, being installed right around Australia, and the more we can get people being able to produce their own electricity through solar PV, or meet their own water needs through rainwater tanks, grow their own vegetables and the like, the less vulnerable we'll be to the kinds of cost of living price increases you've been talking about.
So I'll endorse the support of solar PV, that's putting solar panels on your roof. We just put some on our roof earlier this year. We get about 7 cents a kilowatt hour for the electricity we generate off our roof. And we buy it back at night when we get home and turn the lights on for about 20 cents a kilowatt hour. So the Greens would like to get an energy savings agency going which will redress that imbalance. So the Greens will bring those two prices together so you get a fairer price for the energy you generate off your roof, which will make solar panels more of a cost-saving investment, more worthwhile for people, so we can go from 1 million roofs to 2 million roofs and make a real dent in our carbon emissions. The other point to make is that one of the biggest causes of electricity price rises has been the excessive investment by power companies in extra light electricity poles and wires, digging up Glen Lyon Road and building the Brunswick Terminal Station and these other very expensive investments, adding about 25% to the average electricity bill. This is unnecessary because it's basically designed to cope with just a very few hot days in a year of peak demand. And an energy supply agency, energy savings agency, will regulate demand by getting some factories to close down on those very hot days of the year. And that's much cheaper than making everybody pay through their power bills for all these extra poles and wires. We need these sorts of changes to our energy market, and you know, if we keep voting Labor in Wills, we're just going to keep getting the same stuff, right? If you want change, I think it's probably time to start voting Green so that the government's looking over its left shoulder rather than its right.
Want to have a look at our brochure from Socialist Alliance. It also outlines what we are putting forward with regards to relieving cost of living pressures. There's a direct causal link between high prices of utilities and privatisation. We know that. There's studies done, it's everywhere, the evidence is there. So what we're actually advocating is that gas, electricity and water need to come back into public hands. That's the first way that we can actually secure prices coming down, but also by actually having them in public hands, we can then also start shifting some of the whole energy sector to have more renewables. At the moment, there's very little incentive to have renewable energy. The utilities companies are actually against that. So for us, we think it's fundamental that the community has a say over public utilities. I mean, you see water prices, electricity prices, everything's gone up, but also there have been massive job losses associated with the privatisation of utilities. The other thing that Socialist Alliance is advocating is an increase in public housing. One of the other real issues in terms of cost of living is the high prices of rent. So we certainly encourage an increase in public housing, but also for the private rental market, we think that rent should be capped at 20% of income so that housing doesn't become a privilege but it's a normal human right.